everyone, welcome back to GK Today. I'm Nuzhat Sana and in this video I'll discuss today's top current and static general studies questions for UPSC Prelims Examination 2022 onwards. And these questions are framed keeping in view both the factual as well as analytical aspects of UPSC Prelims exam. Also, I would like to inform you that these questions are part of GK Today's UPSC Prelims test series, which is available in GK Today Android app. And the test series for 2022 Prelims examination comprises total of 7500 questions, divided 2500 questions on current general studies and 5000 questions on static general studies. And the series has started from May 2021 and it will end with UPSC Prelims Examinations 2022. So if you wish to access all questions of GK Today UPSC Prelims test series, you may subscribe the test series in the app. So now without wasting any further time, let's get started.
So today this is our 24th lecture and now let's start. Question number 1. With reference to various initiatives towards affordable housing in the country, which of the following is our correct observations? So regarding affordable housing in the country, various steps have been taken by the government on which 3 statements have been given and we have to identify which of them are correct. First is SWAMI is an alternative investment fund for housing projects. What does SWAMI stands for? It is Special Window for Affordable and Mid-Income Housing Fund, and it is a Category 2 alternative investment fund that was set up in the year 2019. Why? For completion of housing projects in the mid-income category. Now why it was in news? Because recently it has completed its first residential project and SWAMI Investment Fund was formed to complete construction of stalled RERA means registered affordable and mid-income category housing projects which are stuck due to paucity of funds. Okay, and investment manager of this fund is SBI Cap Ventures, while the sponsor of fund is Secretary in the Department of Economic Affairs under the Ministry of Finance on behalf of Government of India. Fine. So this is absolutely correct. Now second statement says Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana has 2 separate components under 2 separate ministries. Actually Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana seeks to provide housing for all by the year 2022. And yes, it has 2 separate components. First is rural component, which works under the Ministry of Rural Development, and second is urban component that works under Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So yes, this is also correct. And now why it was in news? Because due to COVID-19 pandemic, only 5.4% of sanctioned houses under this particular scheme have reached completion for the year 2020 to 21. Now one important thing regarding Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is the cost sharing. Actually the cost of unit assistance is shared between central government and state government in the ratio 60:40 in plain areas, and this ratio is 90:10 for northeast and hilly areas. And this scheme has been divided into total 4 verticals. I am writing it here. First is in situ rehabilitation of existing slum dwellers using land as a resource through private participation. Then second is credit linked subsidy. Third is affordable housing in partnership. And last is beneficiary led individual house construction or enhancement. Okay. Now third is Affordable Housing Fund is a fund established by top private banking institutions of India. So this fund was actually set up to boost the supply of low-cost homes. For this purpose, the National Housing Bank Act was amended to enable equity transfer from RBI to the government. So in this, private entities are not involved, so this is wrong, and correct answer becomes only 1 and 2. Now why this Affordable Housing Fund was in news? Because recently Union Cabinet has approved a scheme for providing affordable rental housing to about 30 lakh urban migrants, and this scheme is in line with the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay. Now next question. Consider the following events in modern world history that were making news in recent times, and now which of the following is the correct chronological order of the above. So basically we have to set these events in chronological order. First is Palestinian War. This war waged between 1947 and 1949, and it was the first war in the Israel-Palestine conflict. Also, it was waged in Palestine under British mandate. And this war was in news because India, USA and several other countries have called for calm and peace amid the tensions and violence between Israel and Palestinian militants. Then second is Eritrean War of Independence. This was fought between 1961 and 1991 between the Ethiopia government and Eritrean freedom fighters. And the war was finally won by Eritrean People's Liberation Front. Okay? And it was in news because Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali has been awarded the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize for his important work to promote reconciliation and solidarity with the country Eritrea. Then third is Ethiopian Civil War. This war was fought between 1974 and 1991 between the communist government of Ethiopia and anti-government rebels. And yes, EPLF took part in this particular war. Now this war was in news these days because civil war-like situations arose in the Ethiopia between the federal government of Ethiopia and Tigray region authorities. Okay, and talking about capital of Ethiopia, it is Addis Ababa. Also, Ethiopia is the 10th largest country in Africa. And the last is Mandate for Palestine. Actually, this took place in 1923 and it was a mandate for British administration of Palestine, or you can say League of Nations, and one of its provisions, that is establishment of national home for Jews in Palestine, led to conflicts between Arabs and Jews in the region. Okay. Now what is the order? First of all, it's 1923 means 4. Then Palestinian War 1. Then Eritrean War of Independence means 2. And then Ethiopian Civil War, it is 3. Correct answer becomes 4, 1, 2, 3. Option number D. Next question. With reference to the geographical features in Middle East, which of the following is our correct statements? First statement says West Bank has a shore along the Dead Sea. West Bank is actually landlocked, located between Israel and Jordan. Also, it has a shore along the Dead Sea. Now, why West Bank was in news? Because as Israel was set to launch its new unity government, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to push on with controversial plans to annex large parts of the occupied West Bank. Okay, so this is right. Second statement is Gaza Strip shares borders with Israel, Jordan and Lebanon. Gaza Strip is actually a Palestinian territory located on the eastern coast of Mediterranean Sea, and Israel and Egypt share borders with the Gaza Strips, not Jordan and Lebanon. So this is wrong. Now why it was in news? Because militants in Gaza Strip fired rocket at Israel, and Egypt closed its main border crossing point with Gaza because of tensions with Hamas rulers. Then third is Golan Heights is bordered by Yarmouk River. Actually, this is a plateau in Syria that was captured by Israel in the year 1967, and it is a basaltic plateau and bordered by the Yarmouk River, which is the biggest tributary of Jordan River. So yes, this is true. And last statement says all of Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine and Israel lie in the so-called Fertile Crescent. Actually, talking about Fertile Crescent, it is the land that lies to the east of Mediterranean Sea and stretches over Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Israel to the valleys of Tigris, or you can say Iraq, in the east. So yes, Israel is one of the countries that lie in the Fertile Crescent area, along with Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine and Syria. So yes, this is also correct, and right answer becomes only 1, 3 and 4. Next question. The term Kabasura Kudinir that was recently found in news is a type of what? So this is actually a Siddha medication that was found useful in treating mild cases of COVID-19. And some of its ingredients include cloves, ginger, pepper, etc. So this is related to medicine. Now apart from it, Ayush 64 is an Ayurvedic polyherbal formulation that is used for treating asymptomatic, mild and moderate cases of COVID-19, and it was developed by Central Council for Research in Ayurvedic Sciences. Then 2-DG, or you can say 2-deoxy-D-glucose, is a drug developed by DRDO for treating COVID-19, and it helps in reducing medical oxygen dependence among the patients, and its emergency use in treating moderate to severe cases has been approved by Director and Controller General of India. Now why this particular medicine was in news? Because Ministry of Ayush CSIR collaboration has recently completed a robust multi-center clinical trial to evaluate the safety and efficacy of Ayush 64 in the management of mild to moderate COVID-19 patients. And now last question, which of the following indicate some kind of digital initiatives of government for promoting physical or mental well-being? First is eSanjeevani. It is actually a digital platform launched by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare to offer telemedicine services, and it enables two types of teleconsultations. First is doctor to doctor and second is doctor to patient. Now it was in news because recently it has completed 1.5 lakh beneficiaries target, and the top 2 states which have registered highest teleconsultation services are Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Fine. Now second is Samvedna. This stands for sensitizing action on mental health vulnerability through emotional development and necessary acceptance. And this is a telecounseling service that was launched by National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. So the main objective is to provide psychological first aid and emotional support to the COVID-19 affected children, and this service is to be provided to the children in total 3 categories. First category is the children who have lost their parents due to COVID-19 pandemic. Then in the second category, those children come who are in quarantine in the COVID centers. And third category includes those children who have COVID-19 positive parents or their family members. And now last is Manodarpan. This is actually an initiative by Ministry of Education to provide psychological support to the students, teachers and parents. So it provides its services via a national toll-free helpline, online chats, webinars, etc. So here all are correct. So right answer becomes 1, 2 and 3. So that's it for today. I hope you have liked the session. If you want to give any review, suggestion or feedback regarding these lectures, you can tell us in the comment section and definitely we will try to implement that. Now, we'll meet again tomorrow with 5 more new and interesting questions. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching and please do not forget to subscribe to GK Today. With this, Minuzat Sana signing off.